Well, I figured now that we got it running, I'll tell you how we did it, since we didn't really talk much when we were firing it up. But what we did to get it running after 16 years was basically we ran 2 wires, one to the solenoid and one to the coil, because we didn't have the keys. Threw a battery in it and poured some gas down the carb there and filled that up and spun it over and see if it would go, and it didn't go. So we checked for spark. Didn't have spark. Then we moved on, checked for spark at the coil. Had spark at the coil. So we went ahead and I took the cap off and cleaned off the rotor, because there was a little rust built up there on the end of it. Just took some sandpaper quick and did that. Also replaced one of these wires, just with a junk one I had laying around, and took out the plugs and cleaned them. Just took them to the wire wheel and poured a little more gas in the carb, and she popped off and came to life. And the more we did that, the better it ran. And then we ended up getting hoses on the fuel pump and made sure that worked, and it did, and idled on its own. So yeah, we got it running good. What we really should have done first, that we didn't do, was drain out the old oil and replace the oil and filter, and then spun the oil pump around to kind of lubricate it. But you know, we didn't do that. We were too excited to get it running, see if it would go. So we didn't run it real long with that old oil in it. But we've since changed the oil, changed the filter. This is an old belt off of the Oldsmobile. I found that would fit the power steering pump, so we can run the water pump there. We filled up the radiator. It does have, as you can see, a few leaks. The radiator itself is leaking, and the hoses are leaking a little bit, but sitting 16 years, you can't expect much. We put a little fluid in the power steering. We haven't tried it yet. We've just been filling it up, getting the system primed. We replaced the spark plugs, and I think that's about all we've done so far. We're going to get new wires for it. We're going to get an alternator, because this generator is pretty much junk, I think. We didn't even want to run a belt on it because it's flopping around, and we don't have a regulator for it anyway. Our next step tonight is going to be to crawl under the back here and take the drain plug off the tank. Hopefully we can do that without breaking it, and just see what's in the tank. Let's see, make sure it's not too rusty. My guess is it probably will have some rust and crud in it, but it's raining pretty good now, so I'm going to turn you off. Well, I've kind of been sick the last few days. Haven't been on YouTube, haven't made any videos. But my brother came over the day before I got sick, and we did a little work to the car. And actually, Banana came over that day, and the Speed Racer came over that day, and I got a truck that I had to figure out what's wrong, and I got it diagnosed and all looked at, and I didn't film any of it. And then I got sick right the next day. So I guess we'll start here. He got himself a new shiny alternator. We just mounted it to the generator bracket there, and then fabricated a bracket on the bottom, just a small chunk of metal that we bolted in, and we put that on with a this is a cable off the 97 Buick, actually. And what we're gonna have to do is, when my brother gets a new end for the positive side, because the wires are kind of falling apart, is cut this off. It's just going to be one of them crappy, you know, bolt together battery cable ends, and we're going to put that on there, and hopefully the alternator will work. And we got both new belts for the power steering and the alternator, and we threw on plug wires too. We already did the plugs before, but they didn't have the wires at the auto parts store, the right ones, or the, you know, the ones with the boots like that. So we got those on. Ran it for a little bit, just make sure everything was good. Still got a good radiator leak here, so not going anywhere with it just yet. We've also taken out the brake booster and the master cylinder, and I've taken those apart. I'm going to see if I can maybe salvage the booster, and then we'll maybe put a couple of bucks into a rebuild kit for the master cylinder, just so we can move it around, see if the brakes will work, and we'll probably end up upgrading it. Not 100%. Still got to get a rebuild kit for the carb. I don't know when that's coming. He's also got to get an ignition key, so we don't have to keep using these wires. But that's pretty much what's happened the last few days. We did speed race for Megan's oil, and what else do we do? Well, it's been a busy day. If it stops raining, that's why I don't have the door open. But if it stops raining, we'll go out there and I'll show you that truck. But that's about it for now, I guess. Well, it stopped raining. Here's that truck I was going to show you. Came in to diagnose a miss. You know, it's not a bad looking little truck, but I'll take a listen to it. And of course the dash is ripped apart because there was a leak somewhere and they had to replace a computer. I don't know, something. I didn't do it, but I'm pretty sure you can hear that miss. It's pretty pronounced. But anyway, I brought it into the shop there. It was a miss on the number 4 cylinder. And I went and checked spark. Had spark at the wire. Pulled the plug. You know, cleaned it off a little bit. Plug looked okay. So I decided, well, all that's left really is fuel and compression. So I went ahead and did a compression test way the hell back there, which was not fun. And it's got no compression. I told the guy before he even brought it to me, it's a piece of garbage. It's 4.6, throw it away. But he wouldn't listen. He said, oh, I love the truck. It's been a good truck, da 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 da. As he's got half the dash ripped apart and the engine don't run right. But, you know, I'm guessing that for some reason a valve ain't opening or something. Who knows? Who cares? I ain't gonna fix it. I don't think anybody would really want to fix it, except for him. But he can hire a shop to do that, because I'm not going to touch it. That just looks like a waste of my time. But anyway, there's a truck. Garbage.